Hi, welcome to Product Spotlight. I'm John, and today we have some models from ExactRail. So let's head over to the workbench and take a look. All right, so here's what we're looking at today. And I would say we're in for a treat because these Big John covered hoppers come from ExactRail. They're HO scale. They're from the Platinum line. So these are going to be as detailed and as good as ExactRail gets. I looked at ExactRail's website and I found 10 different paint schemes, including 9 Southern paint scheme variations. These models are priced at $59.99 at the time of this spotlight. Your best bet would be to go to ExactRail's website and see if they have the ones you're looking for. And since we have 3 of these here, we're going to take a really close look at one of them, and then we'll kind of skim over the other 2. So let's get started. All right, well, the standard operating procedure for this process is to scrutinize the paint job. And I've looked at all 3 of these with my magnifying visor and found the paint jobs to be perfect. The silver paint is applied very evenly, and all the markings wrap around these little ribs without any gapping. Looks awesome, and everything's legible on this car. The ladders on each end of the car are made out of really fine wire and look awesome. And something else that's visible from this viewing angle is the detail in the discharge gates. And of course, we'll take a closer look at that detail when we look at the bottom of this model. All right, looking at the brake end reveals an amazing level of detail and fine detail at that. You can see starting at the top that we have separately applied photo etched platforms on top, which we'll look a little closer at when we look at the top of the model, but I wanted to mention it because they're visible here. And then part of that also includes these separately applied wire grabs. This is the ladder I just mentioned a minute ago. That's all thin wire grabs. Just looks really good. That's a photo etched brake platform. The brake wheel and associated detail is all separately applied material. There's a cut lever. There's actually an air hose on the other side of that coupler. And by the way, that coupler is a Katie number 58 scale coupler. So, like I said, ExactRail's Platinum series has everything you could possibly want on it. If you look down in here, kind of in the back, you'll see there's also some brake detail. Looking at the brake end from this angle, you can see the air hose I just talked about. That's a narrow style draft box. And then back in here, you can see all this extra brake detail. This is exquisitely detailed, and this is one of those cars, and it's just what we always expect from ExactRail. We've seen this time and again. This is a car that you can pull out of the box, and the only thing you could possibly want to do to it is weather it, because it has everything that most modelers want, including the Katie couplers. All right, and since we're going around the whole model here, I thought I'd show you this side. You can see that the detail's the same over here, and the paint is also perfect. You can see some of the detail underneath, just like from the other side. These are 100-ton trucks down there. We'll look at those when we look at the bottom. And yeah, I mean, blackened CNC metal wheels, all visible from the side. Looks pretty amazing. And here's a brief look at the A end. It's kind of boring compared to the B end, but that's okay. It still looks great. It still has the Katie coupler. And it's time now to look at the top of the model. A look at the top reveals those photo etched platforms that I was talking about. This walkway is a separately applied photo etched walkway. This looks like the kind of model that if it gets shipped to you in the middle of the winter time, that could buckle on you. And if that happens, it's just because of the change in temperature, and you can just wait until it gets heated up to room temperature and see if it calms down. Or you can wait until it gets to room temperature, and if it doesn't calm down, you can always re-glue it down. And it's probably best to use something like canopy glue if you do that, because canopy glue is a little bit flexible and might withstand the temperature variations. Anyway, let's take a closer look at this hatch detail. The hatch detail is very realistic. Not only does it have the little shapes on there, but there's also little locks there. And they're so finely rendered that they look, to me, like they might even open. And I've changed the angle just a little bit to show off the latch and hinge detail here. See the space that they've created on the locks? That's pretty cool. So a quick look at the bottom. Those are those 100-ton ASF ride control trucks. These are the discharge gates, and you can see how good the detail is in those discharge gates. It looks excellent. Also from this angle, you can see that the car has body-mounted KD number 58 couplers. Okay, well, we've switched to the ATSF one now, and we're going to do this real quick. The detail on the bottom, the discharge gates, is all pretty much the same. It looks fantastic. That also goes for the top, separately applied photo etched details, hinge and latch, and lock detail in the hatches. It just looks awesome. Looking at the side, it has all the same visible latch detail down here, and the markings are all perfect, just like they are on the other Southern ones. Excellent job. You can also see on this ATSF model how good all the brake end detail is, including all the assorted stuff that's the detail behind the detail, as I call it, back in here. And now we'll take a quick look at what I'm calling the orange Southern paint scheme. You can see from looking at this that the paint and markings are just as good here as they were on the green one. So as we're looking at the brake end, I just want to point out all the same detail, but I also want to mention that ExactRail has gone to a lot of trouble to give you prototype specific information on their website. So if you're going to get one of these, or even if you're not going to get one of these, you can learn a lot by going to the ExactRail website and reading what they said about the prototypes. There's a lot of information there. Well, to say I'm impressed by these models would be an understatement. The fact that ExactRail has gone through very excruciating pains to get every detail correct and to add every detail you could possibly want on this model is just, well, actually it's par for the course for ExactRail. This is what we've come to expect from them, especially on their Platinum series. The best thing about these models, though, is that they're named after me.